We beat the heat in Walt Disney World
Let's discuss the newest DVC property.
and meet another member of the WDW Magazine family.
All that and more coming up.
The time has come to leave today and enter a world of magic, exploration, and Disney fandom here on the Parks and Pages podcast.
Hi, friends, and welcome to The Time to Beat the Heat. It's episode 112. I'm joined by my buddy, Danny. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you, friend. We had a crazy week coming up. Our listeners don't know, but you and I are going to see a little bit of each other this week, huh?
We are?
Yeah. Aren't we recording tomorrow?
I thought you meant in person, CJ.
No.
I was like, wait, did I forget about it? No. Yes, we're recording two episodes this week.
Two episodes this week. So if you're listening to 112 and 113, you don't know this. They're a week apart, but Danny and I actually saw each other in back-to-back days.
That's right. CJ is being very good in accommodating my schedule. I'm going to be away. I'm going to be sailing on the Disney Destiny on a personal trip with some family that I'm very excited about, but we want to make sure we keep up our weekly release schedule. So we're recording today and we're recording tomorrow. It's okay,
I hope
buddy.
you don't get sick of me, buddy.
I never get sick of you. Never.
But I'm excited for you, man. You're on another adventure. We just had you back from Disneyland. I know you guys had a great trip there. I know you're cruisers, and I personally know this cruise and what's planned, so I know you're going to have a great time with friends and legit family. Friends and family.
This is a really cool cruise. We are taking some people who have, never been on a Disney cruise and never been on a cruise at all. So that's going to be really fun and
You're going to ruin
interesting.
cruising for them right off the bat because they're never going to want to go anywhere else.
Well, I've only ever sailed on Disney Cruise Line. I had never taken a cruise before in my life. The first time I ever went on a cruise, we were invited on a media trip to experience the Very Merry Time cruise festivities. And I was like, well, this is great. And I fell in love with Disney cruising. And then everybody I talked to, who's sailed on other cruise lines and stuff, they're like, oh, you started at the top. Like, you can't go anywhere else from there. So
yeah, that look of shock that you gave me when I said I'd see you tomorrow, the only thing I can compare that to was the look of shock when I asked you which monorail resort you were going to pave, my friend. You looked at me like, are you going on this cruise?
I don't know. I was like, is there a surprise I don't know about? I've been told sometimes I make faces, out loud that I don't always intend to do. So.
Hey, it's great though, because it gives us that real video to use for anybody who's not watching the show. If you're not watching the show, you can obviously go check out the reels and see some of Danny's expressions, because we catch him off guard sometimes, and he does not hide it. I love it about him. So, hey, we as always, it's the part of the show we love to get you all involved. Let's get right into it with Mail Call.
Mail call.
Our first email comes in from Andrew from Vegas, and this was the one that Danny and I were like, okay, wow, we're already talking about Lakeshore Lodge. Hi, Parks and Pages. I was looking up the news about the new resort, Lakeshore Lodge. Disney World plans to open in 2027. Some details are public about what the theme and amenities will be included, but what do you guys think this resort could offer guests that stands out differently from its predecessors, and how can this resort avoid the same fate of Star Cruiser? Which was an interesting take on this one. So we want to get into this, Andrew.
Yeah. So let's just bring everybody up to speed real quick. If you're not familiar, there is a new DVC property planned at Disney called Lakeshore Lodge. This project was actually announced way back, in 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And it was originally called Reflections, and it was a slightly different concept. And then, anyways, It's a new DVC resort property coming. It's going to be located somewhere between Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge. It's going to have boat transportation to get you to the Magic Kingdom, which is very fun and exciting. And it's generally sort of got this outdoor cabin, Pacific Northwest sort of wilderness theme. If you look at the concept art, I think it looks like Olani and Wilderness Lodge. Olani and Wilderness Lodge had a baby. That's what I think the concept art looks like.
You're not far off, though. It really does. Now that you say that, you're right. That's kind of the look it has. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It is going to be a DVC property. which means that it's going to be sort of home base for some DVC members, but of course, other people can stay there as well. I think it looks great. I think that Disney, from what they've told us, they're going to be bringing in character and art influences from some of the lesser, still popular, but not as widely popular Disney films, things like Pocahontas, Brother Bear. And I know that there are fans out there who are really passionate about those films. And so I'm sure they're thrilled to see these, getting the spotlight on these film properties. What I'm most excited about Lakeshore is based on the concept art and what Disney has told us. It looks like it's going to have a lazy river, which I think is a great amenity. I think like resorts like Yacht and Beach Club, I think the pool complex is going to be something very special at this upcoming resort. And, like we're going to talk about in our Beat the Heat segment when we get there a little bit later, I love a pool day, a midday pool break, and a resort like this with a big feature pool complex. That sounds like a great amenity to me.
Yeah, and why was this a wow factor email from us? Well, first off, Danny touched on it. We first knew of this resort nearly 8 years ago. So the fact that now we're actually able to talk about what we're seeing, it's vertical. Like we have the building, we are seeing it come to life. So that's the first wow factor. And then the other question was about the Star Cruiser correlation, which I think that is in its own way a bit of a wow factor. We've never seen a Disney hotel experience that has closed, right? Like we haven't seen this occur before. So I think it sets a new precedent for people. But Andrew, this is a DVC resort, my friend, and I think that's the biggest difference is instead of look, Star Cruiser was something totally different, right? And Disney took a shot. It was sadly this one and done opportunity for them, but I think it still sets precedent for other things to come. And I think the biggest issue with Star Cruiser was not the actual resort, it was the timing of things. So I think there's a lot that goes into what happened with Star Cruiser, and that's a whole nother episode, but I don't think that's a concern we will ever need to have with Lakeshore Lodge. Truthfully, I don't see them being the same.
It's true. Star Cruiser was not a hotel. It was a whole themed experience that also included sleeping quarters. And so while that's no longer with us, I have no concerns for the future of Lakeshore. Honestly, I'm sure it's going to be fully booked as soon as the doors open. They are probably building more DVC resorts because Disney needs to expand capacity because there are so many people who love their DVC memberships and they want to be at Disney all the time, and this gives them a new home base.
Yeah. So I just wanted you to don't worry, Andrew. I don't think this is going to see the same fate as Star Cruiser at all, my friend. And I think, as I said, the big reason of it is not just what Star Cruiser was, but also what Lakeshore Lodge is going to be. As Danny said, plenty of people always buying DVC contracts up. So I don't see that happening, friend. But thank you so much for reaching out. I know that you were really curious about Lakeshore Lodge. This is actually the combination of 2 emails from Andrew. So he was really curious about Lakeshore Lodge. So I hope we answered your question, buddy.
I do just... there's not a ton of details right now when we're recording here in June, but D23 is right around the corner. And if we're going to get any more news on Lakeshore, I expect it would come out of D23.
That's probably a really good opportunity for us to get some more details. Because as I said, the building's vertical. I mean, we see the building. It is there. But what more details can we expect? I think Danny's right. We probably see a little bit more later in the summer. Our next email comes from Maria, and she says, "Hi, I just wanted to say how much I and my family appreciate you and your magazine and now podcast. I had a question about the parks and know many with food allergies have wondered this too. I'm part of a Facebook group for food allergies in Disney World. The biggest question from everyone is how does Disney handle food allergies, specifically peanut and tree allergies? We've gone in the past, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it and hope this reaches many that find it useful too. I also decorated my bedroom Disney World park themed, so it's all rides, hotels, food, and etc. I took some of my older WDW magazines and covered my closet with them. So thank you for being part of our family. We have been magazine members for several years. Our grandma started buying them for us, and my dad took over when she passed away, so it feels close to family for us. My other grandmother lives with us and loves reading them and my other grandmother lives with us and loves reading them, and she can because of the bigger font. Thank you all, Maria. Maria, I'm going to pass this one to Danny because I think this one hit Danny right in the feels.
Yeah, Maria, you made my day. She shared some photos with us of how the closet has been decorated with old pages from the magazine. I love this so much. One, first of all, thank you for being a supporter of the magazine, being a longtime subscriber. That is really special. And I'm glad that you and the whole family get to read the magazines together and enjoy. But I love what you have done. We want to make these magazines beautiful, and we love the parks the same way you do. And showing off the beautiful photography is one of the ways that we do that. I think you've done a great job repurposing your magazines and turning them into something permanent in your house. And I love that, and it makes me happy. In terms of your question about food allergies, so I myself do not have any food allergies. I am an omnivore. I eat everything. I have no allergies. But I do know that Disney prides themselves on being very diligent and very accommodating about food allergies. I have traveled to the park with friends, with family, with guests who do have food allergies, including peanut and tree nut allergies. So one, anywhere you go at Disney, any of the restaurants, all you need to do is ask, and somebody will be able to come out and speak to you. They've got a great big huge binder with all the recipes and all the ingredients, and whatever your dietary concern is, they're going to be able to answer any questions that you might have about what's safe, what can be modified, etc. I know, for instance, we dined at a table service restaurant. This was Topolino, and one of the members of our party had a nut allergy. And for things like when you do breakfast at Topolino, your table starts with a shared platter of pastries. And so that came out as per normal. And then a whole separate, it had like a flag in the plate to designate it as the nut safe plate. So that came out. And then so the person in our party who had the allergy had their whole, it was a slightly different assortment of breakfast pastries than what the rest of us enjoyed, but they still got the full experience with a dietary safe for them version. Yeah. The gist of it is you do need to talk to a cast member. It's important to let them know that you have this allergy, but whatever it is that you're trying to work around to accommodate, Disney is prepared, and they do, I think, quite a good job of accommodating
Maybe like a
everyone.
world-class job, honestly, in my opinion, and going back to my days of being a travel planner, I would tell people all the time, as Danny said, as soon as you sit down, sometimes even before, you can tell your hostess that you have a peanut allergy, and that starts the process before you've even sat down. Very often, depending on the restaurant, especially sit-down restaurants, they'll bring the chef to you to have a conversation very often. If it is a severe allergy, they wanna know this stuff. They will give you a separate prep area to prepare your food. That is standard in the Disney kitchens to have a allergy area that's kept clean consistently, and they are able to prepare a gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, nut allergy, you name it. Disney has a avenue to pretty much have you covered. So the how of it is they dedicate the space in the kitchen to make sure there is a safe space for allergy diners. So that's the how of it. And then what you can do, as Danny said, just before you sit down, talk to your hostess. If it's at a quick service location, talk to the person at the register. But very often, if you request it, if you need it, if you have a severe enough allergy that you would like to talk to the chef, that is commonplace. That you are not asking something that Disney does not get asked multiple times in the day. So if you really would feel best talking to a chef, that is an option for you. So depending on how severe your allergy is and how deeply you need to take it into consideration, that's up to you. But there are options out there. We have a good friend who is a vegan, gluten free. So that is a heck of a dietary constraint, right? And she dines all the time in Walt Disney World and loves the food that she gets to experience. So they will work with you. They want you to have a great time. So regardless of your allergy, I know this is about tree nut and peanut allergy, but regardless, whatever your allergy is, listening to this podcast, they will have you covered. I promise Disney will take care of you.
Yeah. Love these questions. It's always so exciting when people call in, when people write in. We love talking into the listeners directly. You can head over to parksandpages.com if you want to reach out to us. You can call and leave us a voicemail. You can send us an email with your questions. If you have questions about your upcoming Disney trip, if you want to talk back about something we've said on the podcast, we absolutely love hearing from all of you. And while you're there, if you want to head over to WDW-Magazine and try out a magazine subscription, print or digital, make sure you use code ParksPod on your checkout. Becoming a magazine subscriber is really the best way to support everything that we are doing here over at Parks and Pages.
ever dreamed of staying at a deluxe Disney resort, but can't bear the thought of the deluxe price tags that come with those fireworks views and monorail transportation to the parks? Well, our friends at David's Vacation Club Rentals can secure you a deluxe Disney vacation without the deluxe price tag. Head to dvcrentals.com to start planning that Disney vacation you've always dreamed of.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim, editorial director of WDW, DLR, and DCL Magazine, here with This Week in Disney History, where we look at something important that happened within the Walt Disney Company that coincides with the week we release an episode. This week, or today in fact, we are celebrating Donald Duck's birthday. 92 years ago, our favorite mallard made his debut in The Wise Little Hen. And it's worth noting that this is the date that the Walt Disney Company officially recognizes as Donald's birthday, but canonically, he was born on Friday the 13th, according to the Three Caballeros. In Donald's happy birthday, that was further clarified as March 13th. But let's be real, I'm sure Donald wouldn't mind being celebrated twice a year. And while I'm sure Disney's got something special planned for him today, I don't think anything can top his 50th birthday celebration, when 50 baby ducklings bonded with Donald from birth in a process called imprinting. Those 50 ducks were then transported to Fort Wilderness, where they learned to follow Donald around so that they could eventually follow him down Main Street in a special 50th birthday parade. The parade ended in front of Cinderella Castle, where animal caretakers had constructed a birthday cake made out of corn to keep the ducks' attention for a photo op the first time they marched down Main Street. The cake wasn't enticing enough, however, because the ducks scattered and waddled into the moat surrounding the castle. Luckily, Disney was able to round up all the ducks and continue the rest of the parades without issue. When the temporary parade ended in August 1984, those ducks were then donated in pairs to zoos across the country. You can read more about this story in the July 2024 issue of WDW Magazine, either by ordering a back issue in print or as part of an all-access digital membership. Thank you all for celebrating Donald Duck with me today, and I will see you next time on This Week in Disney History.
Well, Tim, thanks so much for that, because I don't think I will ever get that mental picture of Donald leading a bunch of ducklings down. We all know if you're a Disney person, Disney and ducks, they are hand in hand, right? Like, there are accounts dedicated to the ducks of Disney. So a mental picture of Donald leading Disney ducks down Main Street, that will live rent-free in my brain for quite some time, friends. So thanks for that.
I love the idea, they were having a meeting. Hey guys, Donald's got a big birthday coming up, and what are we going to do to celebrate it? And, somebody raises their hand and was like, what if we could get real ducks to march in a parade? Who had that idea? Where did that spark come from? No, happy birthday, Donald. We love Donald Duck. I think maybe not of all the characters, but certainly among the core Fab Five or the Sensational Seven. Is that what Disney calls them now?
Six,
Mickey,
I believe. But yeah.
Like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, the core characters. I feel like Donald gets to have the most fun. I feel like he gets to be the most animated, and he's dancing and shaking his tail feather, and he gets lots of fun outfits, and he does a lot of good crowd, because Donald loves, Donald wants to be number one. I know Mickey Mouse gets to, be in the spotlight all the time, but Donald, given the opportunity, he would gladly take that spotlight. If you ever want to if you ever want to get a rise out of Donald when you see him in the park, make sure to shout you're my favorite, or number one duck, or, something along those lines. You'll get a big reaction, I guarantee.
Especially during Festival of Fantasy Parade, because there's that part where they say Mickey Mouse, and then he is literally in his float going,
listening.
Hello.
Yeah.
Donald
Where's the Donald
Duck?
Ducks?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love, when I see Donald, I'll shout number one duck, you're my favorite. And that always, he loves it.
He's always a vibe. Daisy's a vibe too. Those two are just such an iconic couple. They are a vibe. They deserve each other. But man, what a sight to see Donald walking down Main Street with a bunch of trained ducklings walking behind him, imprinted, "Mommy." I just think that's such a cute story. So Tim, thanks for that one. Danny, I also know you wanted to tell our listeners something new that we've got going for our podcast listeners.
That's right. If you want to stay informed, if you want all the news about what's coming down the pike for Parks and Pages, we've started a newsletter. Head on over to parksandpages.com. You'll find a form on the website. Give us your name, give us your email, and we will put you on the list so that you can stay up to date on everything coming to the podcast.
This just goes back to what we've been saying all along from you, all the community. We are listening. We are listening to what you suggest. We are listening to what you all request. This came directly from all of you. You wanted a newsletter that was keeping you up to date with things that are coming and have come from the podcast, and we're listening, y'all. So please keep those ideas coming, keep the emails coming, keep the suggestions coming. Danny and I are not kidding when we say we want this to be community-based, community grown. We're not doing this without you all. So keep those suggestions coming, because hearing something like you all want a newsletter, that's like, wow, we're doing something that's good enough. You all want to be kept up to date. So again, thank you personally for your interest in our podcast and for the involvement that you all show. Keep those questions coming, keep the emails coming. And we love everything that you all do to help make this the community that it is. And Tim, thanks again for such an awesome segment this week.
Circa 1955 is a home fragrance company whose scents are inspired by the nostalgia and wonder of theme park destinations. These fragrance products help you relive fond memories from past vacations and count down for future ones. Featuring eco-friendly soy wax candles and melts, you are sure to find a scent that immediately takes you back to the happiest place on earth. Visit circa1955.com and use ParksPod at checkout to save 10% on your purchase.
Alrighty, folks, it's that time of the year. We all know the heat is creeping into Central Florida. Let's not lie. The heat is here. I will tell you all as I sit here, it is already hot. We are hitting mid to high 90s already. So what happens when that's happening to you on your Disney vacation, especially if you're coming from a cold weather climate? So we have our friend Jodi from WDW Magazine here joining us today to talk about how to beat the heat in Walt Disney World. Jodi, hi, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you, friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Most of you listening probably don't know Jodi. Jodi is one of the people who is working behind the scenes to help make everything we do at WDW Magazine possible. Honestly, hopefully many of you haven't interacted with Jodi. She is part of our customer care team, and we hope that all of our readers, all of our customers don't need that support. But if they do need that support, we have a wonderful team of people here to help. Jodi has also started writing articles for the magazine recently, so you might recognize her name from some of the bylines. And if you're hanging out with us on social media, on Reddit in particular, but Facebook and Instagram as well, you may have interacted with Jodi. So now we can put a face to a name of somebody who helps us bring the magic at WDW Magazine.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be part of this company and this magazine, and I love getting to join you guys on the podcast. It's just an overall joy.
Yeah.
Do you mind me telling our listeners that I happen to know this was a bucket list item for you to join a podcast, Jodi? Is it okay if I share that? Because
absolutely,
you told me on Monday, and I was
You
like,
did.
oh, I love that we got to be part of checking off an item from your live-in list, your bucket list, whatever you want to call it. Because I love podcasting. I love this avenue. So to know that this was something you were really excited to try yourself, and we get to have an opportunity to bring you on and share your expertise, I'm hyped for it. Do you mind sharing with our listeners? Because I think this does impact your preparedness for summer, where you come from. Where are you coming
Yes.
from when you travel?
So I'm from Canada, like Danny and Steph and Tatiana. So when I travel to Florida, I'm coming from the north where, we're used to really cold weather.
Yeah.
So going
Now-
to Florida, it's hot.
You're absolutely right. And let's just take a minute here. We are coming to you from Canada, some of us, but it's not like we're living in igloos here. We have all four seasons.
Yes.
You do.
You know, and Jodi and myself and Steph and many of the WDW Magazine team members who are Canadian, we live in Southern Ontario, which is quite close to the border with Buffalo and upstate New York. So if you're listening from that area, we have similar climates. Our winters get a little bit harsher. But we do have summer, and we know what hot temperatures are like, but there is something about the Florida, the humidity in particular, that is a special kind of summer hot.
Yep. I think this is why you two are great guests on this podcast. I mean, obviously, Danny being a co-host with me, he's here all the time, but Jodi, it hits because I think you're going to represent a lot of our listeners that are coming from those cooler weather climates or those lower humidity climates, and then all of a sudden getting smacked when they step off the plane at MCO by that wall of heat and humidity that everybody knows. That little gap between the plane and the jet bridge. You get a very quick introduction.
That is how I know I'm in Florida. First, I get that wall of humidity, and then we get the welcome message from our pal Mayor Buddy Dwyer.
That's right. So I think this is a perfect episode for you, Jodi, because you're going to bring a lot of expertise.
Yeah,
We're going to start with the expertise kind of right from the bat, if that's okay. In that, like, how
absolutely.
are you all preparing for the travel? What are you bringing? What are necessities? What are things that have to make it in the luggage? Not even your park bag. We're not there yet. What are the necessities? How are you packing clothing wise? And what are the things that you all are bringing? So, Jodi, let's start with you. What's like the necessity packing items that have to make it for a summer in Florida?
Honestly, for summer in Florida, you need hats, you need like dry fit clothing, like very, very light, loose clothing. I've made the mistake of like packing, like, and I'll still wear them like when the weather permits, but like really heavy Disney themed t-shirts. And you need like dry fit and like very, very light and loose are like key for like the really, really hot days.
Yeah, 100%. I have so much respect and admiration for the people that like Disney bound and show up to the parks in cute outfits and like, but I can't, especially in the warmer months. My suitcase is exclusively clothing that is moisture wicking, things that are ventilated, hats with big wide brims. Like fashion is definitely, for me at least, fashion is second to comfort and functionality.
Yeah,
It's
same
so
with
true.
me. Yeah. I look, I don't pack for my stays here, right? Like I'm waking up in the morning and I'm getting dressed, but CJ's summer wear, if y'all have seen me on my Instagram, y'all see me in my stories, everybody knows CJ's in tank tops come June. June through August, it is tank top season for CJ, and it's certainly not a fashion statement. I am not Brick Bodies by CJ. So this is not a fashion statement. It is sheerly for comfort. And I would not survive the summers without being in tank top. So similarly to you all, I do have moisture wicking gear also, but carrying my backpack around, my camera bag, I've got to have like my shoulders exposed and getting some circulation. So I feel y'all. I feel y'all. Jodi, are you? I have to ask this because we're really big on this one. Do you bring a little fan to the parks, and is that something that's making it in your luggage?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So I actually have bought, and I've brought fans. I have neck fans, like all the fans. But I've noticed lately there's now these new clip-on fans that like are really, really small. Because the one I have, it's like handheld, so it's not
Hmm.
like very convenient because you're kind of like holding it while you're like, and even with your neck fan, you're holding a fan at you. Whereas now I've seen like there's a lot of these clip-on fans. Even I saw at Costco, they've got the company Shark that makes the vacuums. They have
Hmm.
this new like whole cooling down system that you can put like clip onto your bag. They've got like fans. They're really, really, really small, which I think is really nice. So
You talk
more
about the ones that like
compact.
waistband clip on, right? And
Yeah,
they like
there's waistband and
circulate.
there's
Yeah.
yes. And there's ones that you can
Yeah.
clip onto your bag, like they'll clip onto your backpack. So it's like blowing the like cool air right at your face.
Yeah. I
So
think that's like a big one that I wanted to make sure I brought up today because we have a fan here that we consistently charge. It lives on a charger at our front door. And when we are leaving for those park days, we unplug it. It goes around your neck. But the really great one about this one is it has one of those cooling plates in the middle of the fan itself. So the actual plate itself gets ice cold to the touch. So not
yes.
only does it help cool the air down that's coming off of the fan, but you could also put the plate up against your forehead or up against your wrist, and it really helps cool you down. It has a nice cooling plate. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is there are so many different types of fans out there, and this one with the cooling plate was less than $20. Like
Okay. Well, that's
they
good
are
to know
all
because
budget options, so you can
yes,
find a lot of good ones out there.
the one I saw at Costco was over 100, and I said, "Well, that's
Ooh,
like a bit
t-
steep, right?"
yeah.
I don't know if that's worth. So
Mm,
I don't like the fans. I know that these are very popular. I see them all over the parks. I've tried the neck ones. I've tried the clip-on ones. I've tried the like handhold, even the Disney one that's like a misting water bottle
yes.
that's also
Hmm.
a fan.
Yeah.
And while they are nice in the moment, like the charging, having an extra thing around my neck if I'm wearing a backpack or I've got my camera on a camera strap, or like it's just, for me at least, I don't get enough relief. I don't think they're worth it. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to these little portable fans. I'm happy they work for you guys, but I don't think they're worth the money or the extra complication of having another device to charge and juggling getting on and off a roller coaster, and I got to take the fan off my neck and shove it in my bag, and to me No, thank you.
I
Are
see your
you
point.
what do you use to cool down then when you're here? Do you pack a cooling towel or does
Huh?
Danny just say, I'm gonna trudge through?
I mean, part of my mentality is just, yeah, I'm going to be in Florida. It's swampy. I'm just going to be hot. I do have the cooling towels that you like soak in like ice water and then wrap those around the back of your neck. I like those because I can just, put that on and sort of tuck it into my shirt and it stays put and but honestly, I get so hot in Florida that like these things are great and they do help, but it's a small relief for a short time. So I'm rather than what I put on my body or like how I dress or how I pack, most of my beat the heat strategies are like, how can I get indoors? How can I take a break? How can I, find more time in the shade or in the AC?
Yeah.
That's for me, that's what ultimately saves the day.
Well, so now we're here. So let's get to that strategy. What we all do when we are here. Obviously, we know what I do. I just suck it up and go home if I need to. So, but you all don't have that option. You're
Yeah.
in the parks. Like, so what are y'all doing when you're here? And Danny, I know you said you take little breaks. Jody, I'm sure you do the same thing. So, Jody, what's like a good hack for you when midday, hey, we really need to take a chill. We need to relax a little bit and get away from the heat.
So my like cooling towels, I will agree with you, Danny. I think they are top notch because they are a bit smaller. So like they
Mhm.
do like they're easier to kind of cart around. It's your neck. Like once you get your neck kind of cooled off, I feel like you start to feel a bit better. But
Absolutely.
my last trip there was in September and it was actually during like a heat wave. And like obviously Florida's already hot, but this was like there was heat warnings. It was like
Mhm.
extreme heat. Like my glasses were fogging up just from like walking around. Literally, like I had to take my glasses off and like clean them constantly because it was so hot.
Welcome to the
But on
jungle.
right? So I found that like we would go first thing in the morning and then midday it was just too hot. So we'd go back to the resort, we'd go to the
Mhm.
pool, and then we would spend like I would plan most of my nights, like making sure I was there in the evening. There was one day we were at Hollywood Studios and it was just like the way our trip had worked, like we didn't see an opportunity to go back to the resort. So we found like we went on my Disney experience, we found a last minute table service and then cooled off like at a table service to at least get a break from like the really, really hot time.
I love that, a table service meal, that combination of being able to sit without the sun beating down on you and have air conditioning. That can totally turn the beat around for you and your family. Honestly, a lot of times I'm not always a fan of table service because a table service meal is probably going to be an hour at minimum, maybe, 90 minutes or 2 hours, depending on, where it is and how leisurely you're being with your meal. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, I got to go, go, go. I don't want to take like a 2 hour chunk out of the middle of my day. But that reset on a hot day, that totally changes the game. When I'm in Florida and it is really hot, when I'm staying on property, my park days look like early, early, early rope drop, like as early as possible, before it gets too hot. Maybe we make it to lunchtime, then it's back to the resort. It's, go for a swim, it's take a nap, it's take a shower and, fresh clothes and stuff. And then honestly, like sometimes we'll stay out of the sun till dinner time, till closer to sunset. And then we go to the parks and we are there till the very, very end of the night.
I was just about to say, we're getting into that time of year where Disney also knows it's hot, y'all. And the expanding of park hours is not just because of crowd levels, it's also taking into consideration the fact a lot of people are going to spend the middle of the day hiding away from the sun. They don't want to be in the parks. And honestly, Disney knows that. They know, and they probably, if you don't want to be in the park, guess what? They don't want you in the park. They want you to also be able to recover and enjoy yourself and be back at the resort and hang out. So that's another big reason why parks open a little earlier. They stay open much later. It isn't just because of park attendance. It's also to make sure you have the opportunity to take that 2 hour, 3 hour break in the middle of your day and not crush your Disney experience. You don't lose a day because you've dedicated that time to go back to the resort. Chances are between opening and close, the parks are probably open an extra 3 hours in that day than they were this same park in the winter. So that's another thing to account for is you can go and take these midday breaks and you're not really going to lose park time because Disney's accounted for that. So I think that's a great suggestion. I even, again, as a local, I do it myself. There are times that I will go in the morning to the park and I'll go, it is way too hot. I go home, I chill out, I relax, and then I come back to close the park out in the afternoon or evening. So even as a local, that's something that we do.
And I don't want to think about it as losing park time because the resorts are part of the
The
experience.
experience.
Jody,
Yeah.
I don't know about you and your family, but like we always stay on property. And, I want to spend time at my resort because I picked it for, whatever reason. It's a theme that I love. It's a location that I really enjoy. It's not just a bed to put my head down and go to sleep. There's things to do at the resorts.
And they make the resorts like there's so much to do at the resorts. The pools are all themed so well. Like I have a son, and during the days, like they'll have the cast members are doing like one day they got to do like they made tie-dye t-shirts. They have so many events going on and so you get hot, you jump in the pool, you go do an activity. It's just the resorts are like so great for those midday breaks.
And don't knock the dining at resorts either. You could do what Danny
yeah.
said. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Go enjoy your lunch at your resort because a lot
Yes.
of the resort dining opportunities are really great dining opportunities. So why deal with the lines and the craziness of a park dining experience? So you can go back to the resort where probably less people will generally be, a little bit easier to get those reservations or walk up to a quick service and take it back to your room and hang out. As Danny said, definitely use the experience of being at your resort as part of that experience of your vacation. But I hear it all the time where people are like, I don't want to go back and take a 2-hour nap. I'm losing part of my day. And that's not the case. You're not losing part of your day. Honestly, you're saving yourself for a full vacation experience. And the people who don't need a vacation from their Disney vacation are usually the folks who take a bit of a chill break during their day of their Disney vacation.
Yeah.
Don't go
Yes.
24/7, 365 on your Disney vacation.
No, because you won't be having fun, right?
No.
If you're pushing yourself that hard, like. Now, this is something that I make a point of doing, Jody. Maybe you do the same. I pack, so in addition to all the moisture wicking stuff and all the quick dry and whatever, shoes can make or break your whole Disney experience. And I always bring multiple sandals and multiple pairs of running shoes. My feet get really hot. Honestly, my feet get swollen in Florida. And like I notice and like I'll come to Florida and I'll like loosen the straps on my sandals by like one notch on the buckles because like my feet puff up. I never wear the same shoes for a full day. It saves my feet. It helps, refresh the body, make you feel, whatever I'm wearing in the morning, whether, I'm switching between 2 pairs of running shoes or running shoes and sandals. I never wear the same footwear for a whole park day.
I completely agree with that. Multiple pairs of shoes, multiple clothing options, because you're probably going to change multiple times throughout the day if you're going back and forth. And the great thing is all the resorts have laundry. If you don't want to overpack, you can, wash your clothes. Because I think every time I've gone, I'm at 2 outfits a day, almost guaranteed.
100%.
And this is the part in the show where this episode and April showers kind of go hand in hand because we're in the time of year you're going to get both. You're probably going to get heat and you're probably going to get rain. So Danny's idea of bringing multiple shoes that nobody really wants to talk about, what happens when you get stuck in that downpour on a Wednesday late in the afternoon and then Thursday morning you wake up and you want to go to the park and your shoes are still soaking wet and now they're cold from being in the room all night. So like it's not a great thing. It does not feel good. It's not a good start to your day. So again, having an extra pair of whether it's sandals or an extra pair of sneakers so that you at least can say, okay, I have a dry pair of shoes. I'm going to start this day off on the right foot, no matter how yesterday ended. Don't make yesterday's problem today's by having one pair of wet shoes to step into. You'll really regret it. So Danny's right. Whether it's April showers or high heat, for both of those reasons, definitely bring up some extra pairs of shoes. I also think this works for both the April showers and the high heat. Those towels that you are provided in your room, those little white hand towels, be responsible. There's no reason you can't toss one of those towels in your bag, have it with you for the day, whether it's to wipe sweat off of yourself or keep yourself dry, put it back in your bag, bring it back to you, take it back to your hotel room and add it to your hotel laundry as standard. But there's no rule on you having to leave that there. So take the towel with you. My friends do it all the time.
Yep.
I'm a big proponent of the small hand towel. I actually have, like, just generally for traveling wherever I go, I have a little microfiber towel. It folds up, it goes in my pocket, but it's super absorbent. It comes in clutch all the time. And honestly, in my park bag, I probably have an extra t-shirt, or another piece of clothing or something, like, because that'll totally change the beat. That'll turn the beat right around. If you're just in the park and you're hot and you're uncomfortable, and like, let's be honest, Disney can be a sweaty, sweaty place.
It can be.
Like, I'm sorry, maybe some of you are, fully accustomed to the heat, but like, I sweat a lot at Disney. And being able to like pop into the washroom, have a quick change, like that will totally change my whole outlook on the day.
Yep. Now, Jody,
Yep.
you had mentioned that you're also a parent yourself. I have a
Yes.
full-blown Floridian daughter now. She
Yep.
she doesn't even
Right.
she doesn't even register the heat of Florida anymore. I'm
Yep.
so jealous of that life. But I'm
Right.
curious because you are traveling here with a young one. So like what's it like
Yes.
for you, and how are you getting them to be able to adapt?
So I think the benefit we have is my son James, he plays baseball. So we spend a lot of our summers outside. So I feel like we're already pretty good at like being outside and being prepared for, a long day in the sun. And I don't know, kids seem to like handle it much better. Like as long as you're making sure they're drinking water. Like I think that's the other thing, like the hydration. Like I buy those like liquid IVs and we make sure we have those on hand at all time because if you get dehydrated, that like it can ruin the entire day. So just making sure he's hydrated. I probably bring him more clothes than myself. So he's got lots of clothes. And again, even the backpacks, like to Danny's point, sometimes they do like get a little full because like I have extra clothes for me, extra clothes for him. That I will agree with the neck fans being like kind of a pain for packing, but I do find they provide relief. And I think just, you know what, like again, the hydration to me is like one of the biggest keys to
Yeah,
making sure you stay happy.
I almost was gonna make that portion of the show its own thing. Like, hey, we've talked about preparing and we've talked about packing. Now it's taking care of yourself. And like with that, it is, yeah, hydration and yeah, liquid IVs. It's getting the right amount of sleep. You know what I
Yes.
Mhm.
mean? Like there's a lot of things that go into taking care of yourself. If you want to go hardcore on a Disney vacation, maybe save that for a winter trip. But summer, that is the time to really take care of yourself. Make sure you're hydrated, make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're well fed, not super heavy food, but things that are heavy in electrolytes, lots of fruits, you know what I
Yes.
mean? Lots of things that'll really help you out, pushing you through the day.
I strongly recommend a Disney pickle on a hot day, the big pickles.
Okay.
The salt is actually good for you.
Yeah.
You got to balance it out with drinking lots of water and staying hydrated. But like one, they're cold and crisp and refreshing. Two, the salt is good. You need a certain mix of salt. I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but like you need a certain amount of salt along with the hydration to keep your body,
Yeah.
optimally hydrated. A pickle is a great summertime snack. But I'm glad you brought this up, CJ, because this is something that always scratches my head. Disney starts Food and Wine in like August, when it is
Mhm.
approximately the surface of the sun in Central Florida.
Yes.
And the thing with the Food and Wine Festival is that so many of the dishes, it's like, oh, would you like to have, a little bit of cheese fondue? Would you like a thick, creamy milkshake with some added bourbon in it? And these things are delicious, and I love the Food and Wine Festival, but some of the dishes I can't fathom, wanting hot cheese fondue on a sunny August day after you've already walked around World Showcase one time. To me, it doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. Who remembers this as a smoked mushroom bisque from the Canada Pavilion? And I'm
Yeah.
sure it's delicious, but a heavy, creamy mushroom soup at the end of summer just does not sound like the answer to me. So, Danny, I agree. I agree. But this is where it's like, maybe a bite. You know what I mean? Have one
Share it
serving
with your
of
whole
it, share it
family.
with your
Yeah.
family so you can taste it and experience it. But no, I mean, Danny, I agree. This is the time of year where you really do. You need to plan out almost every decision you make. And I don't want that to sound like we're being overly cautious, but truthfully, there's a lot that can go wrong this time of year. So I want to briefly touch on this, and I definitely do not want to scare anybody with it, but what happens when something goes wrong? Because it does happen. Sadly, in the Disney parks, it does happen. People get heat exhaustion. I want to tell you all, I've experienced it myself. I have watched friends experience it. Please don't second guess going to first aid. If you feel like you need it, please take advantage of it. It is there for a reason. Disney is providing the service for you. You're not going to get some, massive bill in the mail that's telling that, telling you owe $150 for a cough drop. That's not going to happen. So please, if you're second guessing how you feel, let the staff at the first aid, they are trained nurse practitioners or doctors. Please let them look at you. Please, like genuinely, this is the time of year. Don't second guess it. Head over, let them tell you, hey, you should relax. Here's some electrolytes. Here's a Gatorade, whatever, Powerade. Sorry, Powerade in the parks. But let them take care of you and give you the okay. Don't just assume yourself. All 4 parks have first aid for a reason, folks, so take full advantage of it. And again, that's not to scare you, but that service is being provided by Disney. If you don't feel okay, let somebody give you a checkout because there's no reason not to.
And I will say, coming from like going to Disney at different times of the year, there is a big difference with going in the summer when it's really, really hot. And your trip, it will look a bit different because you do have to plan differently. Where, like in maybe a February or March, you can go from open until close and probably be fine. Whereas like July, August, September, you have to be a little more strategic with how you're planning to be in the parks because the heat. It like even if you think you've had heat until you go to Florida in that summer, it's like a different level. It's a different heat.
It's true. And I'm sure we've got listeners, maybe we got listeners in Texas or listeners in Florida or, anywhere in the southern US and they're going, I grew up in Arizona. I'm used to, there's something about Disney, the pace that people go,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes, maybe you're waiting for a parade and you're standing and there's no shade. And like these things have a cumulative effect. Even if you think that you're seasoned and, you live in a warm climate, the combination of the excitement and going from all the different attractions and I don't know, it adds up.
I also have a friend of mine who they're adamant they set a timer on their watch to ding every
Mhm.
hour of their day in the park. And that's their reminder of, hey, have I had water since the
Yeah.
last time that dinged? And that's just such a simple thing. And sure, it may sound annoying, but you know what else sounds really annoying? Passing out in the middle of Main Street. So
Right.
I'd rather have
Yeah.
that alarm go off every hour and tell me to drink water.
So let's
And so that's to me,
Yep.
again, such an easy thing to do, an
Yes.
hourly reminder. And he just hears the ding. He doesn't even have to look at his watch. He just knows by the ding, I
yeah,
have
time
not
for
had water.
Let's talk about water for a minute because Disney does, I think, a very good job of making sure that there is water available. So, one, I see more and more bottle fillers all over the park because that's more or less, I feel like most people, when they're packing for a day at Disney, it's, hat, sunglasses, water bottle, camera, like, the magic band. These are your standard loadout for a day in the Disney park. So, one, there's lots of water fountains, there's lots of bottle fillers, more and more bottle fillers, which I love to see. Every single restaurant, quick service, whatever, they will give you free ice water. You just have to ask. Also, you don't have to be having an order. Like you can just stroll into Casey's Corner and say, 1 ice water, please. You don't need to make a purchase. It's there. Disney wants you hydrated. Take advantage of that. Yeah. Am I
Also,
missing
this is
other?
the kind of going off of what Danny's saying. This is the time of year. Sometimes you'll walk into one of those quick service locations, look all the way to the left or to the right at the counter, and you may see a big water container with a bunch of cups next to it ready to go. So that Disney's preemptively trying to help you out. So to go off of what Danny said, sometimes you don't even have to talk to a cast member. You could walk in to certain quick service locations, and I believe Starbucks is actually doing it sometimes, like specifically
I've seen
Hollywood Studios.
the
They
bottle
have the big
filler. Yeah, the
correct, a big
jug.
glass
Yes.
jug filled with water for you. It's sitting there for you to walk up, fill up a cup, and walk away. So you don't even have to talk to a cast member. Disney, echoing what Jody and Danny both have said, Disney's going to do everything they can to take care of you. So it's up to us to make sure we take those steps that they're providing.
Honestly, the water bottle thing, like it's become like you can like show off your Disney fandom. They've got water bottles for everything. I was recently gifted, for those of you watching us on video, I was recently gifted this lovely Buzz Lightyear tumbler from Disney. And like they got the whole Toy Story gang, any character you've ever been a fan of, like, and it's fun. Make it part of your, thing. I've seen trash can theme, for all those Disney nerds out there who love the design of the trash can. You can get a trash can, water bottle, the Corksicle. We love the Corksicle stuff. Not sponsored, but Corksicle, give us a call if you're interested. They've got all the Disney character fandoms. My wife Steph loves. She has like a sling bag that is specifically designed to hold an insulated water bottle. It's gonna be the key to a good day. Jody, I have a question for you about how you pack for the parks. You mentioned that sometimes your backpack gets really big and heavy
Yeah.
because you're carrying stuff for the whole family.
Yep.
Is that how you guys like to do it? Is like one person the designated pack mule, for lack of a better term, or does everybody carry their own supplies for the day?
So previous trips, my lovely husband was the one that always got designated carrying the backpack. And then as our trips have, like as my son's gotten older, he'll carry his little Disney backpack. I'll carry a small backpack just so we can distribute the
Hmm.
weight a little bit because, yes, going back and forth we go back and forth depending on what park we're at, depending on what resort we're at. But there are times where you just want to power through and you don't want to have to go back. So you want to have as much on you as possible. But again, the weight can be a lot in your backpack if you pack too much. So we've gotten really good at being strategic about what comes with us, who's carrying what. Now that my son's older, James, he can carry his own stuff, which is also very helpful. We used to have a stroller, so you could have everything on your stroller, which was wonderful because you could just hang everything off, get the stroller clips, hang everything off your stroller. Now it's all got to be on our backpacks.
Yeah. So my friend Greg, who also loves to go to Disney with his family, and he's been taking the kids since they were very little, but now they're teenagers. They got to a point where, it used to be Greg was in charge of one big backpack and it had the
Yep.
whole family's supplies. And then as everybody got older, then we started divvying it up. And he got for each of his kids when they were teens, they each had a little sling bag that was just big enough for like a cell phone, a water bottle, a wallet, a little, but then everybody became responsible for their own little thing. And I think that's a
Yes.
great way to divvy it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last thing I want to touch on is, as a parent who did this myself, the summer is not a time to have people questioning if your child is too old for a stroller. All right, let me just, I judgment-free zone here, everybody. I don't care how old your child is during the summer. That is the time of year where if they want to take a stroller to the park and you all are able to do it, let
Yep.
them take a stroller to the park. Let them have that place to cool off, relax. And if you need to get from point A to point B really quickly, it's going to be much faster. So as a local who took advantage of having a child, especially during the summer, hanging in her stroller, probably longer than she should have, age wise,
Right.
it saved her. It really did.
Yep.
It saved her of many summers. So it's kind of going off of what y'all were just talking about is, plan what works for your family, plan what works for you all. You can divvy out the weight. You could put some weight in the back of the stroller and hang it or stick it underneath the stroller. This summer is the epitome of what works for you all. That's what
Yeah.
matters. Judgment-free zone.
Yep.
Nobody's gonna yuck your yum, but if your 7-year-old needs to be in a stroller because they are painfully overheated and they don't wanna walk anymore, that's what's gonna work for you all. Do it. Do what makes sense for you all. And I think that kinda goes off of what y'all were saying is a good way to kinda divvy things out. Nobody wants to be carrying a child through the park
No.
in August, so let the stroller do that for you.
All right. So, Jodi, we've talked a lot about what we do to prepare and how we take breaks from the park, but let's talk about what we do when we're in the park. How does the heat affect what you like to do when you're visiting Disney?
That's a great question because, if I go in like the winter months where you can kind of stand in lineups a lot longer because it's not as hot, and won't mind waiting in lines. Whereas, like when I go in the summer, and because lightning lanes tend to be a bit cheaper, I always buy lightning lanes so that I don't have to wait too long. And I always try to prioritize the rides that have indoor queues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of the rides like Slinky Dog Dash.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to wait out in the barreling heat. So that's either a good lightning lane one, a good rope drop one, or one to do like when it's much, much cooler in the nighttime. I also I think one of the great things about going in the heat for me personally is it's expanded what I've gone to see shows that I've never prioritized before because I don't really care about the air conditioning. Whereas you end up seeing things because you're very air conditioning focused and you're like, wow, how did I never look at this or never go on this attraction or never watch this show before? And so that's one of my favorite things about going in a hotter time is I'll go and look for more different attractions that I've never gone on before because I want to be cooler. Like
100%.
Awesome Planet in Epcot, and
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I'm like, why have I never seen this? But it's great, and I only ended up seeing it because I was trying to stay inside as long as possible because it was really hot.
I am with you all the way. I find that the temperature outside will change my tolerance
Yes.
for a standby queue. So there are things like Pirates. I love Pirates, but I've also ridden Pirates more times than I can count. And so, depending on when I'm walking through Adventureland and I'll see the post, it says 45 minutes for pirates, I'll say, no, I've done it a bunch. I'll get to it next time. But if it's a hot day, like
Yes.
that queue is a great queue to cool down in. So my tolerance for how long I'm going to wait for a ride totally changes in the hot weather.
Hmm.
And then you're right, maybe people are skipping Awesome Planet because they're making a beeline to Soarin'. But Awesome Planet is fun and
So
it's
great.
worth your time, or the Mickey and Minnie vacation shorts at
Yes.
Hollywood
Yes.
Studios. Yeah, the heat definitely affects also the water rides. I'm at Animal Kingdom all the time. I rarely do Cali River Rapids, but on a hot day, Cali River Rapids is a treat. But, when I come to Disney in February, you won't see me on that attraction.
Or Tiana's gets you extra wet right now, so that's another
Yeah.
good one. Tiana's is a extra
Yep.
splashdown.
100%.
Well, so before we wrap things up here on the episode, Jodi, is there any other last minute suggestions you have for our listeners? Is something that you any last parting advice that you may have?
I think honestly, like prioritizing, making sure you're packing appropriately. That's like going to start your trip on the right foot, making sure you have everything that you need. Clothing wise, like it's always good to be prepared, like plan ahead, make a packing list. That's like my biggest thing is like always having a list to make sure you don't forget anything. The wonderful thing about being in Disney is if you did, you can always find a replacement or you can buy something that you're missing, and just being more strategic with like the times of the day that you're going to be at the park, the times that you're going to prioritize table service, pool time, water parks. And like to Danny's point, like there's Cali River Rapids at Animal Kingdom's a great ride to go on. The Tiana's, like there's so many rides that will help you stay cool. There's so many attractions and shows, wonderful shows that you can watch that'll give you a nice break. Once you get the little bit of AC break, you're ready to tackle, the next couple hours.
I think the important thing to remember, we've talked a lot about the heat and the heat is no joke, but you're still going to Disney, right? Like, it's not like we're letting the hot weather stop us. It's not like we're like, oh, no, I'm not going to plan that Disney trip just because it's hot.
And that's a valid point because I think for me, for a little bit, it was like, oh, I don't want to go during this time. It's going to be way too hot. But like, it's the times I've gone in the hottest time have been some of my best trips and I've had some great memories. So like, you don't want to let the heat deter you from being going to Disney.
No, I mean, it's why we're able to do it year round, right?
Right.
It's why we are able to be a 365-day theme park because we are here. So yes, it does come with some negatives during the summer, but during the winter, we really love it, right? So there's a little give and take with that. All right, so that wraps it up for the episode. But first, Jodi, can you tell our listeners where they can come find you if they want to follow some of your adventures and see what you all are up to?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is jodi.lynn. So it's JODI.lynn, LYNNE_.
Awesome. And as you heard, everybody, she's heading to Disney soon. So if you want to see what she's up to with her family and maybe get some more of her Disney in the heat tips and tricks directly from Jodi, you can head on over and give her a follow. Obviously, as Danny said, you can read some of her articles on WDW Magazine. You all know what to do. And until next time, friends, let's turn the page. Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Bye.
There's no such thing as too much Disney, so get a monthly dose of all things Walt Disney World with a WDW Magazine print membership. You'll receive our award-winning Disney magazine delivered to your mailbox every single month. Inside, you'll find our signature jaw-dropping photography, Imagineering secrets, park history, and so much more. Use code PARKSPOD to save on your new membership today at wdw-magazine.com.
Thanks for listening to Parks and Pages, a WDW Magazine podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Got a question or idea for the show? We want to hear from you. Visit parksandpages.com to leave us a message, and you might be featured on an upcoming episode. And as you explore, don't forget to check out our award-winning magazine and support the work we do. Thanks again, and we will see you on our next great adventure.